But anyways, we got the top 10 humans in Yu Yu Hakusho. The top 10 humans in Yu Yu Hakusho are as follows: Asado Kido is number 10 on this list. The boy with the shadow abilities territory, right? He is basically the leader of his group. You know, that's how I understand it. You know, he wouldn't be the leader if he didn't know how to lead, right? You know, out of those boys, he's also, a guy who's great at, boxing, compared to other people. But he's at number 10 on this list. Because at number 9, I have I have oh my god, I have Murota. So that was the guy who could read minds. He had the territory to read minds. He was a mind reader. He got defeated by somebody who's ahead of him, right? But he's a human being, right? Both of these are two human. He beat Sato Kido in some boxing. He knew that because he's a mind reader. He knew that he was gonna step on a shadow and try to paralyze him. So he said, "Oh, let me run that fucking match real quick. Knock him the fuck out and get him out of here." So he's at number 9. At number 8, we got a guy who ate Murata. That was Gourmet. Gourmet's at number 8. This guy ate Murata and then he was able to hear the thoughts of other people. That's how his ability worked. He can eat people and then consume their ability, obtain their abilities from eating them. Except he got taken over by Tagoro. Before that though, he was a human being, like that. And he did beat um, Assad, or he beat Murata. So he's at number 8. At number 7, we have oh, we have the boy Seaman. Seaman's at number 7. Seaman because he can cause the other two to drown or the other three to drown. Water, it's a pseudo space. They can't cut through the pseudo space. They don't have any abilities that can allow them to do it or to pass through. You know, they'll drown in that water. Um, Now we got Hagiri at number 6. Hagiri the sniper. So Hagiri, the sniper, yeah, he's sniping. All these other people. He puts a tag on you right here. He puts a target on your face, on you, anywhere. He can send anything at you too. He can send arrows. He can send you bullets. He can send bullets that are dice. He can send a car after you. You know, you are the target. You know, and he always hits his target. That's how his territory works. At number 5, we got Dr. Kamiya. Dr. Kamiya is at number 5 because in his territory, he's the doctor. He can administer drugs to himself and other people. He can make himself not go under. Basically, stay up all night. He's boosting endorphins, he's boosting, serotonin and dopamine in his brain. He's turning off pain receptors. He's, sewing his arm back on and shit like that. Like, he can perform surgeries on himself and, and make it, all that actually go away. But he can make you, sick as fuck. He can give you, diseases that, he has the cure for, but he ain't gonna give that shit to you. He's at number 5. I got, I got, and everybody below him definitely loses. But at number 4, we got Karoko. She's at number 4. She was the first spirit detective. She had spirit attack powers, and she, kicked some ass. She knew a bit of boxing. Um, But then she gave her position off to somebody else who's on this list. She was the first spirit detective though, and she's like aware of like spirit energy and shit like that, right? Um, Even though she retired and other things, she taught her own children how to use attacks, like spirit energy attacks. She's at number 4. At number 3, we have Kazuma Kuwabara, the member of Team Urameshi that's not a demon. He is the third most powerful human because of that dimension sword he has. He's not the smartest guy, but he has some experience, boxing and shit. And he has great endurance. And this guy is creative with how he uses that, Danto, the, sword that cuts through, dimensions, right? Even the people above him have to watch out for that shit, or because if they lack, in any way during their fight, Kuwabara actually has a means to, beat them with that sword. But the other two that I have above him, they just have years of experience and they're smarter by him by a lot. So they'll, they won't be falling for that shit. And that'd be, Genkai at number 2. She taught Kuwabara about, you have a spirit sword, you have materialization. You can materialize your spirit energy however you imagine it to be. That's how it can be. You can summon a weapon, and it's powerful based on you, based off of the, um, and you have great, he has great spiritual awareness too. But she was one to like, inform him of that because she's a psychic, right? She has spirit gun, she has spirit orb that she gave the youth game, spirit wave technique. She has martial art technique. But at number 1, that's Shinobu Sensui, right? That's why he's on the thumbnail. He's number 1. He attained sacred energy, which is like hard to obtain. It takes like, 30 years to obtain. Genkai never attained it, but he did. He did it in only 10 years. He obtained that, and then he was able to, take people down. And he is, that's what, he's so, the human world couldn't hold him anymore, so he had to fight this guy in the human world. And his friend, right? He took on the likes of, the 3, Kuwabara, PA, and Gourmet at the same time, and he was beating him with his second death. He's the weakest S class, according to, what most people think. But I understand that, he could probably beat some other S class. But he's in the lower S class bracket. That's what he is. But he's the most powerful human in that series. Um, Be Cool on the corner. Yusuke ain't in this list. He has Muzuku blood. He's a demon, man. He's not a. And if anything, he's a half breed. But Be Cool on the corner. And let me know what you think about this list in the comments below.